What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Coop's House. It is now week 10 of the Squarebody build, and as sad as it is, I am here all by myself this week. Anyway, just kidding. As you guys remember, last week we went ahead, we started putting the front suspension together. We got the new control arm bushing kits in, we got the springs installed, lowering spindles, I got everything bolted up under the truck, minus the steering components, which actually make everything work. You guys remember that. So this week our game plan, remember, small goals. Our game plan this week is to go ahead and get the axle flip kit, leaf springs, everything under the back end, and getting the rear end under the truck. If all goes well, we get all of that done and we have a little time left, I'm going to go ahead and move the Cummins outside. We're going to go ahead and pressure wash it, get it all cleaned up and all that good stuff. And that's what we're going to set our goals for. Who knows if that'll happen. So anyway, not going to waste a whole bunch of time. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to get these leaf springs bolted together, and then we're going to go ahead and get the new bushings put in. And yeah, hopefully then we'll be ready to go ahead and put this thing under the truck. So let's go ahead and get started, get the ball rolling. Alright, so you guys can tell that was a little bit of a chore. but we finally have the leaf springs in. Next thing we have to do is actually go ahead and put these flip brackets onto the rear end housing. They go on from the bottom side, they come up, and they butt against the existing spring perches. So they go right on there. It's recommended that you weld them, but I'm not going to weld them right now. Just going to go ahead and get them put on there, get the rear end set on here. That way, you know, we can check pinion angle and everything later. I may go ahead and weld them. We'll just have to see. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get those put on, get it set on the leaf springs here, and then we're going to get those bolt plates and the U-bolts. So you guys noticed we did not, or I did not, have the overload springs on here. The kit that the company that manufactured this flip kit recommended that you take those out, so I took them out. I still have them in the event that I need them. I need to add them later, but for now they are not in there. So it is just the spring pack, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 leaf springs total. I don't see myself hauling anything heavy enough that needs that. The only thing I'm going to be pulling with this thing is one of these cars. So not like I'm pulling heavy equipment or anything like that, so I don't think I'm going to need those. But anyway, so we're going to move on and go ahead and get this flip kit put on and get this axle actually set down on the springs, and then see what comes next. So let's get going on that. One thing that I am going to point out real quick is with this particular kit, this is from Western Chassis. So you see it's got one hole and it's offset to one side. I'm going to put that up so you can see it. So what that does, this hole has to go toward the front because this actually sits on the leaf spring center pin, and this is what centers your axle in the wheelhouse, is putting this forward. So make sure that that's oriented the right way, otherwise your axle is going to be toward the front of the truck, and your pinion angle will actually be wrong because it's sitting wrong on the spring. So anyway, just wanted to point that out real quick. Going to get these things put on and get this thing set on the springs and decide if we're going to weld it or not. So okay, so what I decided to do is, instead of just eyeball this, I'm actually going to measure the leaf spring perch, find the very center of that, and then find the very center of the bracket, and then go ahead and get it centered on there. That way I know I have the same offset or whatever on the truck on both sides. So I'm going to do that, and I probably am going to go ahead and weld this thing. If so, then I'm going to go ahead and pull it back off and paint the inside. That way it's painted on the inside, but I'll just spray it with like weld-through primer or something, weld it on, and then just hit it with some quick paint just to, you know, make sure everything's covered. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, get everything measured, get it lined up, and then get this thing set on the spring so we can see what it looks like, and then go from there. Alright guys, so I went ahead and decided to go ahead and just go ahead and tack the brackets to the existing spring perches. It was moving around a little more than I wanted it to. So anyway, what I did, I just found the center point of the spring perch as well as the center point of the bracket, lined that up, welded it to it. So hopefully that's going to give me the same distance between the spring and the actual wheel hub on both sides, so it should center the rear end. So yeah, really all that's left now is to go ahead and set this thing on and see how it fits. And I'm out of welding gas, so I can't go ahead and weld it on up. So that's just something we're going to have to come back and do like next week, because I'm not going to get to go get any welding gas before then. So fixing to jack this thing up, try to get it set on the rear end or on the leaf springs and see how it fits. So yeah, here we go. One thing that I do need to add, guys, when you put these flip brackets on, make sure that that little hole is toward the front, because what that does is that actually centers your wheel in the wheel opening. So if you put it the opposite way, it's going to push your wheel and axle toward the front of the vehicle. So it's going to cause some issues with your drive shaft fitment, and it's actually just going to look ridiculous. So make sure you put that toward the front so that way everything is centered. It sits right on top of that center pin for the spring. So it's just one little hole drilled in the bottom of those brackets. So yeah, anyway, make sure that's toward the front. Forgot to mention that. So anyway, let's get this thing set on and fold it down and see how it looks. Don't pay attention to that time lapse too closely, because you saw exactly what you think you saw. After that soapbox I was on about make sure that the hole in the bracket is toward the front, I was wondering why the rear end wouldn't sit down on the springs like it's supposed to. On the other side, I flipped the bracket, it was backwards. So I had to go knock it off, spin it around, tack it back on. But anyway, we're now sitting on the springs. You can't really see it. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, I'm going to give you a walk around, let you see this. I haven't bolted it down, and I think I may actually hold off on that until I have some welding gas. Go ahead and weld this up, and then actually go ahead and hit it with paint so that whenever I'm done with it, I'm done. So anyway, let me give you a walk around of this, let you check it out, and then we may be fixing to call it a day, or a week. So anyway, let's check this thing. Alright guys, so I double checked a bunch of measurements. I'm within like a 1/16 of having this thing dead center on the truck, so I think it's about as good as it's going to get. Unfortunately, I think at this point I might have to call it a week. Like I said, I don't have any welding gas, so I'm not able to actually finish welding these spring perches, and I thought about it, and it's going to be kind of senseless for me to actually go ahead and bolt this thing down and button it up whenever I have to take it loose. So just going to leave this thing sitting here on these springs like this. Next week I'll go ahead and weld this up, shoot some paint on the perches, and that way we can bolt this thing down and all that's done. I wanted to pressure wash the Cummins motor this week, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Had some weather blow in, so not able to do that. But anyway, we'll do that very first thing next week. If all goes well, I'll be able to pick up, hopefully, the rotors, hub assemblies for the front, so we can actually set this thing down on some wheels and tires actually on its own weight. And then we'll go ahead and we'll modify the cross member that came out of the Cummins donor truck to be able to fit the frame. And so hopefully next week we'll actually set the motor on the frame. If so, we'll be ready to actually set the cab down. But there are a lot of variables for next week, so we're just going to have to see what happens. But anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully this video was enjoyable. I know it's probably kind of short and we didn't really accomplish a whole lot, but quite a bit involved in doing this. But anyways, yeah, so we'll get back to it next week. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you know when we post. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you're enjoying the build, please let us know. If you're not, tell us that as well. So, you know, hopefully we can improve in that area. If you have any recommendations to make our channel better, we are all ears. So anyway, appreciate you guys, and thanks again for tuning in this week and every other week that you tune in. And we'll see you on the next episode. Have a good one.